I could see a small bed, bookshelves, and paintings. Then I noticed 2 glass cases, one large and one small. In the small case were 2 fish, and in the large one was the octopus. "Isn't it beautiful?" she said. "Sometimes I sit and look at it for hours." "Does it have a name?" I asked. "Oh, I just call it Octopus," she replied. "And you? What's your name?" I asked. After a minute she said, "My name's Thetis." "Ah," I said, "that's the name of one of the water people in the Greek stories of long ago. Thetis was the daughter of Nereus and Doris. They lived at the bottom of the sea." She pulled her ear thoughtfully. "My real name's Alice," she said. "I call myself Thetis because I'd like to live at the bottom of the ocean." When she said this, I could understand the reason for her green room. It was quite dark in the room. The only lights were the ones that lit the glass cases. The paintings on the wall were in blues and greens, and showed fish and other underwater animals. I was sure that she was the painter. She was almost a water child herself, with her small nose, large eyes, and pretty short brown hair. "Would you like me to sing for you?" she asked. "Oh, please do," I replied. "My song's called The Silver Swans," she said. She sat down, closed her eyes, and sang in a sweet, gentle voice. "How shall I know my true love? When will my true heart speak to me? Oh, when the silver swans come sailing, then I will know my true love. Then I will be with my true love, forever with my true love." It was a beautiful song, but I felt that there was a sadness behind the words. The words were wise and understanding, but I knew that the young girl in front of me was never in love. "That was lovely," I said. Thetis opened her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "Who wrote it?" I asked. "I did," she said. "It's mine." "Do you often write songs?" I asked, surprised. "Only when they come into my head," she replied. Suddenly, she moved towards me. "How will I know my true love?" she asked seriously. "How will I know when I'm really in love?" "How old are you, Thetis?" I asked. "I'm 21, she answered. "Have you been in love?" I said. "No," she replied. "I don't think that I've ever been in love." She stopped for a minute and then she continued, "How will I know? Who will tell me when I am? You're so old and wise. Can't you help me?" She looked pale and unhappy. I thought carefully before I answered her questions. At last I replied, "When he's ill and ugly, and you can still love him, then you can be sure." "When he is ill and ugly," she said to herself quietly. She sat there thinking. Then suddenly She remembered that I was there. "Oh, I'm sorry I'm being rude," she said. "Would you like some tea, Dr. Funderby?" "I'd love some, thank you," I replied. She disappeared for 2 or 3 minutes. I looked round the room again. At last she returned, carrying the tea things. She poured out the tea. As she lifted her cup to her mouth, she said again, "When he is ill and ugly. Oh, thank you, Dr. Funderby." She smiled at me. We talked for about half an hour. She told me about her mother and father. They also lived in London, but she wanted to live alone on this houseboat. She loved it because it was on the water. She had an evening job, but she did not tell me what it was. Suddenly, I began to feel quite ill. I wasn't sure why, but before I could decide, Thetis asked, "Would you like to go out on deck?" There was not much room at the back of the boat, but it was enough for the 2 of us. Then I saw with surprise that there was water all round the boat now. 4 dirty white swans went past us. Their feathers were dirty with oil from the river, and their eyes looked very unfriendly. Thetis looked at them. I said, smiling, "Perhaps they're the silver swans in your song. Perhaps you're going to meet your true love." She only said, "These swans are a dirty grey silver." Then a small wooden boat came up to us. There was a tall, strong man in the boat. He looked about 35 years old. He was wearing a blue sailing shirt and dark blue trousers. He had black hair, a beard, and bright blue eyes.